I am Angela.
That's what I love.
Mr. Mallard. Join me as always, Mr. Chief of Morale himself, Bud Copeland. Bud, how are you this evening before we get
So the point being is, good golfers are a fucking dime a dozen, and we saw it in full swing that the line of demarcation between.
Are you ready, Bud? Are you ready for the players? Are you ready to make money? Are you ready to try to beat them?
I didn't do my homework this week.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Divots and Pivots here on the Fantasy Sports Corporation Network. I am Andrew LeDuc, a.k.a. Mr. Mallard, as always joined by Bud Copeland. And we got a fun little episode for you tonight. Later on in the show, we will be joined by Nate Hyrn from acornhillsco.com. Again, we had him on probably roughly about this time last year. So we're going to check back in with him later in the show. So stick around. Use the discount code at the bottom, TBFY15 over at acornhillsco.com. But let's get into it. Bud, how are you doing? Enjoying the outdoors, I see. Is it you just
on the road.
What's it called? I can't even think of the word. Whatever. You getting back to your camping? Is that what you're doing out there? Your camp experience?
I'm actually doing the opposite of that. I'm down in Tallahassee, Florida. Tallahassee, Tallahassee, however you pronounce it. Just home taking care of some family business. It's not necessarily a work trip or a pleasure trip. It's a family trip. Mm-hmm. And so we are back out on the outdoor back porch here at lovely Golden Eagle Golf and Country Club. I think it's just Golden Eagle Country Club, but no, it's the course where I grew up. So it's been kind of fun to be back nice. Like I said, doing some family stuff. But in that family stuff, I stumbled upon this little nugget right here. And let's see if we can get that up on the camera, see if you can read it. It says,
so first time playing number 17, score 3.
This is the ball from my first time playing 17. I just stumbled upon this in my dad's office. We're cleaning out some family stuff, and this is the ball that I used. It is a Maxfly HT90 Tour Bellata, which even for when I played I was probably 12 or 13, so this is probably 1994, 95. This ball would have still been a little bit old, which tells you I took something that I didn't mind losing out of the bag, and I didn't lose it. I made a 3 at Sawgrass on 17. This was my first ball. Stumbled upon that today, and I thought to myself, I was probably, again, 12 or 13 years old when that happened. Maybe I could be on PGA Tour by the time I was 15, like this kid, Oliver Colchart, or let me see, what's his actual last name, because it's they made a point to do a phonetic pronunciation, and whenever they do that, it's not going to be Betchar. Oliver Betchar is a 15-year-old kid who is he grew up in Bermuda, and the PGA Tour fall swing gets back at it. Not the fall swing, sorry, the FedEx fall, whatever the fuck they're calling it.
We'll still always call it the fall swing because we call everything a swing in golf.
We'll get into it later. But anyways, he's 15 years old. He's from Bermuda. He's been working towards this, and he qualified for the what is it? The Butterfield Bermuda Championship coming to you in a couple weeks. I think we were at Zoso over in Japan last week. We're off. They're off this week, and then next week. I can't remember where they're going next week. Then after that, we will be in Bermuda. So there's 3 tournaments left. They're going to do 3 more tournaments in November, and then we shut it down for the month of December. And that's where you see like the Tiger Hero World Challenge will be played. That's when we get traditionally the parent-child kind of tournament every year where Little John and Big John have been cleaning up, but Charlie and Tiger Woods are fast on their heels. And also we're supposed to get the new international intergender. Is intergender a word? No.
I haven't heard that. It wouldn't shock me if it was a word, but I haven't heard it yet.
But what is the tournament? It's coming up. Tony Finau and Nelly Korda were big in promoting it.
Let me take a look. Sorry, I was looking. You mentioned the Zozo, and made me think. I forgot to check how Hideki did. But let me check. The 51st, T51, 5 over.
He had a beautiful 3-wood on Thursday, though, up the hill 280 to about 2 feet. That made it kind of be like, there's Hideki. The Grant Thornton International or Invitational. It's going to be an LPGA, PGA Tour again, one of those kind of shoulder season events. So morale's high here on the homestead, especially like I said, you come across a little bit of family history, a little nostalgia. That's a little pep in your step. Speaking of pep, I don't know if we want to dive right into it, but Eddie Pepperell, shots fired.
Like,
set the table, because I will admit, when I got the text from you that like Eddie P, and I was like, I had to look it up. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And we are in the hungry season. We need stuff to talk about. And sure enough, right on cue, here comes Eddie P.
Yeah, he basically said, he put out a tweet on Sunday. Today's Tuesday. So yeah, on Sunday, saying that basically to sum it up, he said, I really gave it a shot. I tried to sit down, watch the LIV Team Championship with the hopes of finding some sort of joy or inspiration or any enjoyment in it possible. And then he basically said, but all I saw was nothing but cringe, cringe, cringe. And I am paraphrasing, but 90% of the words I just said he used in that text and cringe in that tweet, and cringe was definitely the most prominent word he used. So Eddie Pepperell was not a fan, did not enjoy it. I think he even had a comment in there referring to Bryson's celebration, which, look, the celebration itself, it is what it is. They sprayed champagne on each other. I had no issue with the celebration. It's what you expected. But your comments on Eddie Pepperell first, then I have another comment on kind of revolving to spin off from Eddie's comment itself about the team championship. So what did you think about Eddie Pepperell's comments when you read it? You're on mute.
Technical difficulties with the audio. Say that one more. Oh, my first reactions when I saw
it. Your first reactions. Yeah.
Oh, man. I liked it because at this point, anytime these guys put themselves out there, their opinions out there, they are intentionally. They're not intentionally. That's the wrong way to put it. They know that they're potentially starting a fire or a conversation. And anytime in this current golf climate, it's almost as if Justin Thomas, Rory, those guys, they have risen above it. They're beyond it. Okay, they're beyond the LIV thing. And so when you do hear from Eddie Pepperell, who is struggling, he has been very public and open about his struggles as a professional golfer.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he comes out, my first thought was, here come the LIV haters. And I don't mean the people who hate LIV. I mean the losers who claimed it. Like it's some sort of cult second coming of golf. Well, actually, I got a question for you. Might be the second coming of golf, but as far as this is concerned, I agreed with him. I did turn it on, and at one point I was sitting there going, 4 holes. No, I went for a walk with my kid and my wife, and I was like, 8 holes left to play. When we came back, there was 4 holes left to play, and I was watching the scoreboard, and a couple of birdies at the same time, and there were moments where I was like, oh, that's fascinating, but that's because it was the moment of just seeing a lot of good golf shots in a short period of time. And here's so-and-so for birdie, and here's so-and-so for birdie, blah, blah, blah. But then when I'm like, wait a minute, again, what is this? This is the team finals. There's 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really give a
What's
shit.
Going on?
I didn't care. I didn't care. And to Eddie's point, I think I'm actually going to defend LIV a little bit here and say that it's easy to say it looks cringe from the outside because you're not out there trying to start something new. It's unfamiliar to you because it's cringe to you because it's unfamiliar. I'm skeptical that there's a long roadway ahead for LIV past next year, unless they see a way to make it some developmental tour. I think Phil out there going, I know there's people who are going to come. Oh, we didn't even.
Yeah, I know. You just reminded me too when you said that, because the comments out there saying that they expect bigger and better stars or not bigger and better, but more big names to join. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
The official World Golf Rankings. So first of all, one of their objections was the lack of relegation in the game plan.
Yeah,
and people are going, well, there is. I guess the bottom 12 guys, the way it's going to work with LIV, if you're the bottom 12 of the points list individually, you're essentially now free agents. So your team can either opt to re-sign you, another team can pick you up, or you can be unemployed. Whatever. Yes. And the argument out there is like, this is relegation, which it is. There is consequences if you don't perform.
I did see that. Chase Koepka got relegated.
Well, unless you're one of those people like Brooksy or DJ who have got the guaranteed money, right? Like they're Patrick Mahomes, they're not going anywhere. And so there is a little bit of that relegation, but it comes down to a numbers game. The official World Golf Ranking also pointed out something. You have a fitted number, and I've even been gracious to say, let's give every team a backup, a fifth, a bench player, or an injured reserve kind of slot that you can fill. So we got 60 golfers potentially with these 12 teams. I don't see any new teams popping up because guess where all the new money's going? F1 racing and TGL. Again, stuff we'll get back into. So there's a limited amount of spots there. And no matter what way you slice it, okay, so what if 5 of the top 10 from the PGA Tour go over next year? Okay, all 40 are not going under. They don't have a nut that big to draw them all. But even if they grabbed 5 more, and every year they sucked 5 over there, the table and the context is set. And unless all of a sudden everybody who's over there does add up to the top 50 in the world, which I don't see that happening, again, because of the limited roadway with opportunities in majors, the whole point of official World Golf. And I think that the big money's already out. I don't see the PIF going back to the well saying, here's 350, 450 million. I do, Brooksy saying, took it for the dough. I don't blame him. And I think Brooks is back in people's good graces because he went out to the Ryder Cup and because he's doing shtick with Bryson on the course and because he's being real. My family is taken care of. If I never hit a golf shot again, if I get smoked by a bus, we're good. And there's not a human alive, an adult especially, with kids that wouldn't bat an eye. The moral objectors, you can't put a price on a loved one's life. But all you can ask for is empathy, right? Or kind of a little bit of like, what would you do in the same scenario, right? Just try to put yourself in that spot. Imagine if that loved one was still around. And here's an opportunity to ensure that person and everybody they come in contact with or produce or love along the way, maybe for a couple generations, are done, set. There's my family legacy. It's incredibly hard. We've talked about this the whole time, to go down that road and pass judgment on others. So if you take that off the table and you look at it as business decisions, or even, like I said, a math problem, there's not enough room for all of the top guys. So even if Phil says, oh, there's going to be a wave of, I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's going to be maybe they might have enough money to snag 1 off the top, 2 or 3 in the middle, and then a couple low-hanging fruit down there to keep replenishing the stock so that those bottom 12, maybe only 3 or 4 of them actually end up on the unemployment line and maybe 3 or 4 people come in, or it's flipped around. But either way, this pettiness, take the DJ route, take the Brooks route. Phil, shut your fucking mouth. You're on my shit list again. The truce is over. He won't go away or be quiet. Don't fault him for that. What is he supposed to do? Exactly. He took the money and he's going to go over there. But the arguments keep falling on like what are we getting at here? Because once the PIF and PGA sign this agreement, and I think something's going to drop very, very, very soon, either an extension or an announcement.
Now the LIV season's done completely. Something's gonna come.
It's got to. And even if it is, what would you like to see happen with LIV?
It'd be a second tier tour like I think it is in the first place. Some sort of, like we've said, developmental tour, or some sort of entry tour, or just some sort of fun exhibition tour. Like it's hell, they could be the Savannah Bananas, in the baseball comparison. Like hell, like let them be that.
By the way, that's not a terrible comparison because it is the same sport, just organized differently. The Savannah Bananas, that's some entertaining stuff.
But it is just organized differently. Like each inning is like its own mini game. Like this, the rules are so completely different.
Some kid shot a 67 in 32 minutes playing speed golf the other day. 67.
Jeez. In 32 minutes?
32 minutes or 37 minutes. Yeah, these guys are in running shoes and they carry like 3 clubs. So I agree with you. I would like to see it incorporated into the ecosystem in some sort of proving ground. I think you could see it become this new fall, have it be like knockouts and stuff. Maybe there are 48, college players that you put up there. Gordon Sargent, by the way, our college guys. He's the first player to get his PGA. So a real quick pause for the uninitiated. Gordon Sargent plays his college golf at Vanderbilt. He's the number 1, I think, ranked amateur in the world right now. Or if he's not 1, he's a 1 or 2. He was on the Victorious Walker Cup team. Him and the US AM U.S. Amateur
Champion.
champion, the USAM champ Nick Dunlap and another college golfer, David Ford, who was on that Walker Cup team. They just went and snagged the Eisenhower Cup, which is the World Team Amateur Championship.
Yep.
That's a fun one, by the way, that we gotta look at more. It's not next year, but 2 years from now. When it's back, it's now going to be on the same cycle as the Walker Cup. It's 3 players from like 30 or 40 different countries. I think there's 36 maybe countries that are involved in the federation, and it's 3 players. They play 3 days of stroke play. The 2 low scores from your team each day count for your team total. Sounds a little familiar, right? Like that
Yeah.
kind of. But it's a really neat amateur event that kind of flies under the radar, especially when it comes in the same year and in the shadow of a Walker Cup and then a Solheim Cup and then a Ryder Cup. And then it's like, get up for the Eisenhower Trophy. It's tough, but it's out there.
And I truly believe that I believe that a path to legitimate success for the LIV Tour is similar to something like, like if they really want to be picked up by, because that's back in the news trying to figure out, okay, they're done their first year with the CW now. They got 1 more year left, but they need to expand to something to include the Friday round as well, because CW is only Saturday and Sunday. Like their whole network deal and future potential deals is kind of back in the news again. They're going out to the big global media conference to try to basically find a partner. But I feel like I feel like they could be successful if they went the route of almost like it being like a challenge tour, similar to, have you seen the documentary, or not documentary, but I guess you can call it a reality show, but it's more like a actual reality show, The Last Chance U, or the guys
on
who
Netflix?
don't yeah, but
yeah.
But like it's a legitimate guys like go from there trying to actually get in the NFL. Like every now and then someone makes it. Like take guys who maybe just missed out on the Corn Fair and they want to take a chance and to get their tour card, and like it's it's a challenge tour, and Netflix really goes on like say it's Netflix that picks them up and likes the idea. Like I feel like that could be something that could be entertaining. Like then you get it's guys you don't know maybe. But if they focus in on the right parts of their story, and the golf and all of that, then I think you have something. And then, maybe every now and then they keep some contracts with some of these bigger stars where, a couple times a year, one of these bigger names in the golf world comes over and plays against them or something. I don't know. You mix in their names that have been loyal to them. There's paths to do it. They're just trying to be what their problem has always been. They're trying to be the PGA Tour while saying that the PGA Tour is outdated.
Yeah, they're trying to be an alternative to something, and it's like, well, wait a minute. If it's there's a couple things there. The Challenge Tour exists, by the way. That is what the DP World Tour's kind of minor leagues is called. That's the equivalent of their Corn Ferry Tour. It's called the Challenge Tour, and I know you were talking about using it as a point of reference. Brooksy came out of the Challenge Tour. That's where he was before the PGA Tour got big. I'm struggling with the team thing, just like I've talked about.
The team thing I think needs to go. I agree. The team thing I can't do.
So
at least in this format.
Well, then we're just talking about basically taking the LIV brand and slapping it on a different Corn Ferry or Sunshine or any of these other 26, 27 world golf tours that participate in the official world golf rankings.
But at this point, don't you think that's all they've been pushing from the start, though? They're pushing the LIV brand, like all the facts that, or the points that they're pushing on LIV brand is the bigger, faster, louder, or whatever the hell the saying is, whatever. They're not
golf,
pushing
but louder.
Like they're not shoving in the face of people like, we wear shorts, we play 3 rounds instead of 4. Like, they're not shoving the actual rules of how they play the game of golf on the LIV Tour, because that's not really different other than 1 round less. They're trying to push the experience of LIV golf. That's something that the brand can carry over into another format if they change the actual format of golf to make it something unique.
Well, and then we get into the conversation about the talent's not going to show up, because if the World Golf Rankings which is the pathway to all majors and all the big things to get World Golf Ranking points. And we've even seen with international play, it's a pretty big deal with Ryder Cup teams. And I guess you will see LIV golfers on the Ryder Cup next time around with the DP World Tour. They'll figure all that out.
Yeah.
But if you do that, if you say, all right, we're going to maintain this and we're going to push the experience, well, then you're going to drain the talent pool because they are going to go over to the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour or whatever new endeavor is created. And you are going to get a Savannah Bananas type experience where you got some seriously talented athletes and golfers, but they're not elite level professional contenders. And so, to your point, and what I've said from the very freaking beginning, it's a glorified exhibition. And it's fun. You and I went. It's a great time. It's wonderful. But also, the serious golfers. And I'm not saying I necessarily subscribe to this thought, but serious golfers, when they think about a shotgun start, they think about, oh, it's a scramble or it's a late fall round and we're not going to get it in because of daylight. They don't, a golf tournament is a marathon. I mean, it is an absolute grind. And people who poo-poo golf because of, they're not out there running at high speeds and, knocking each other around, they do discount the mental challenge and the discipline it takes for days on end to stay that kind of sharp, to have the ebbs and the flows. It is a little bit different even than a 7-game series like we're seeing in baseball, but that's about the closest thing you see to it, is these 7-game series in other sports where they have to maintain it. The Super Bowl, I understand too, it's or those single shot games, it's a different type of intensity. It's a lot all at once, and it's just make or miss, boom. The fact that, again, in a 7-game series or in a 4-day golf tournament, you can have a little bit of a mistake or a stumble here. You don't have to be perfect. The margins are a little bit bigger, but they're not, they're razor thin, for an extended period of time. But that if they're razor thin one way and you make a mistake, you do have 52 holes left to make that stroke up. I mean, there are some comfort, but it's just a different style of mentality. I genuinely think with the style of LIV, pace of play, I think there's some benefits to maybe the format where you can just be, I am golfer, hit ball. Like I'm not on the first hole. I'm on my first hole of the day. It's just the next shot that's in front of me, whatever. But there's guaranteed cash at the end. And that argument is going to be pretty moot here soon, where all these signature events are guaranteed purses as well. And that goes to the argument of, in a question that I had been sitting on, figuratively, not literally, the future of all this. If LIV aside, I think you and I both agree we'd love to see it incorporated because it's fun and novel. If it can serve a purpose, I think that'd be wonderful. I think, and I agree. I think it should be kind of like there's 48 guys. We said 60 total, right? With a bench player. So we'll say, I say maybe you do take you keep the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour U path the same. Great. Yes. The next 30 guys on the Korn Ferry list who almost got that PGA Tour card, and then the first 30 guys out on the PGA Tour list, take those 60, put them in a draft format, and let them hammer it out all fall in this LIV golf format. So because then you can say it's controlled, it's contained. We know what we're getting front to back. We're not trying to say that we're creating a new tour. That would be captivating, television. You got the time frame to do it. So I think that would be fun. But you mentioned something that's holding LIV back. Shawn Mendes just came into my brain. There's nothing holding me back. The LIV golf needs a Friday coverage partner.
Yes.
And is YouTube a viable option now? To say, hey, like we've got enough exposure now. It's free. It's accessible. Everybody knows where to find it. Because I just saw an interesting debate earlier today. And of course, coming from one of the good guys or one of those folks, is YouTube the future of golf? And they don't mean they mean, is it going to be as big as the PGA Tour someday?
Like
get as many eyeballs, get these purses going, because of how, again, those arguments, already the numbers of people who consume golf now, whether that means they're watching instructional videos or podcasts or whatever, the consumption audience for golf on YouTube is growing. I mean, hell, that's where subscribe right now, Fantasy Sports Corporation's YouTube channel. If you haven't already, ring the bell. So, knowing what the kids are into, the TikTok generation, do they have the patience to stick around, or is the traditional golf model going to start dwindling in audience base, and it's going to start going to this side where kids look at, what is the guy from Good? His name's like Garrett or something like that.
Well, there's a bunch of them.
There's a bunch of them, but this one, the one that I'm thinking of specifically, who started in his backyard with those little trick shot videos, and now he's one of the originals. He's one of those kind of OG golf guys in the last 5-10 years, or 5 years really. He's the kind of model of, I look at instead of grinding it out on the Corn Ferry Tour, maybe I go the Paige Sporanic route. Maybe I go the Garrett route. There are other ways to get into, quote, professional golf without being a tour pro. And I don't ever think it'll overtake it, but I think, I mean, there's something there when like take Taylor Swift, for example. When you have a built-in fan base like that, could you imagine if it was like a couples match, her and Travis Kelce in a co-ed match against, partnered up with some pros? And that's the route that I think it's going to go, because this pay-per-view model is going to keep kind of winning. Maybe not in the end, like we talked about before. The networks are going to reign king because they have the eyeballs. But where do you see YouTube golf going?
So I do think that I could see YouTube being a very viable, kind of big player in the end when it comes to golf. What we're referencing with good golf, and we've referenced Bob Does Sports before on the channel, and other golf shows. Yeah, they're not playing and providing coverage for golf tournaments per se. But they are getting more eyes on the game of golf on YouTube in general. And let's face it, people are not really watching cable television as much as they used to. A lot of people, including myself, the most things I watch is on YouTube. I watch anywhere from 10-minute videos to hour-plus long videos that I take in like TV shows on YouTube. And YouTube has become kind of that. Like, it's not a network, but it is in some sense that YouTube could probably sustain a live coverage sport at sometime in the near future. And yeah, golf on the platform has taken off to a place where I could definitely see YouTube being able to support that. And I was just quickly, because you mentioned Garrett, and I couldn't remember. Grant's the one that had left Good and is on his own now. Garrett is still part of Good. I want to make sure we didn't confuse those names. So you were right. Garrett is on Good. He's like I guess you could say that he's not the leader, but he's definitely like the forward face, him and Bubby, when it comes to Good.
Bubby's with Good. I'm shockingly ignorant to that world.
I've taken a lot of their content. I very much enjoy watching their videos. So because it's good, like they're good golfers. They were all college golfers. Luke Kwan was on Corn Ferry. They're half of them are pros technically. Yeah. They have what's his name? One of their newer guys. He played in the Masters a few years back. He qualified and was able to get an invitation to the Masters. I can't remember his Brad Dahlke. Probably one of the amateurs or something. Yeah, he was an amateur, but like they're legitimate golfers. And they bridge that kind of gap of being really good at golf, but also being able to entertain. And what they've been able to do to get eyes on golf on YouTube, I think, is a path to the future of, maybe we do see some live golf. I think if LIV decided to come back to YouTube as Fridays is going to be all like live golf on YouTube, I bet you there'd be an audience.
Two things on that. First of all, you remember the movie Invincible with Mark Wahlberg, where he's the bartender who ends up on the Eagles and everything? Yep. I think that's kind of what you're getting at with these YouTube golfers who've had a cup of coffee with the pros or brush with greatness. It's accessibility to excellence. They're like, wait a minute, I'm one step removed from that guy. Like, hey, exactly. A guy like me sitting here going, I play in amateur qualifiers, and this guy won an amateur tournament that got him to Augusta. And never mind, we're miles apart in terms of talent. There's that slim sliver. Yeah,
they also played at like Oklahoma State, like all these high end golf schools.
They're like +7 handicaps. Yeah, they get pissed at a 68. I'm over here grinding over for my 73s, but hey, we're proud of what we put out there on the card. I think there's an accessibility aspect to it. And I know we got to say hey to Underdog here in a second. And so when we do come back, if it's not going to be YouTube, I do have another kind of wild suggestion for maybe where LIV might end up. And it would be on brand for both of them.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. It just makes sense. I just see it being of YouTube having created the path for that, and LIV could take advantage of it. It works for me. Let's do you have any more on this before we hear from Underdog? Then we move on.
No, when we get back, I'll tell you who I think might step into that void, and then we'll move on.
I love it.
Ooh. Fantasy Sports Corp and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to start your fantasy season off in the win column with Best Ball. What is Best Ball? It's quite simply the easiest way to win. No team management, no trades, no waivers. It's their biggest contest ever and it has only gotten bigger. You simply have to sit and win. You don't even have to set your lineup. Always get your best score every week. Just enter a contest, draft your team, and Underdog will do the rest. What could make this even better? How about free money, up to $100 using our exclusive promo code? Go online now and use the promo code DIVPIV to double your deposit up to $100. You tell them Gingerbread sent you. Good girl.
Sorry, I at the end of before the commercial break, my train of thought was going a little bit because I pulled up the names of the good team just to make sure, and then I saw like a bunch of little, clickbait things about rumors, and because I'm fans of good golf, I then just got sucked into quickly reading, and so my focus was gone. But I did just stumble upon this. The good golf, their channel, beyond just their channel now because they got their website, their store, whatever. But good golf earns around $600,000 a month.
I mean, it's enough.
Team, right?
It's enough to pay the bills.
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
No, it's good stuff. So that leads me to my kind of suggestion and point is wherever there are the eyeballs, I think the opportunities are going to follow. And LIV Golf, needing that partner, maybe trying to take a stab. And I don't. It's never going to happen because of Netflix's partnership with the PGA Tour in full swing.
Yeah.
But that's where my brain went. Maybe Amazon Prime or maybe Prime or Hulu or one of these other streaming partners goes, fuck it. We'll give you a year. We'll see if you can do it. I mean, that's all they really want is a shot to get the eyeballs. And the way that LIV wants to have kind of all-round control of the production process, it lends itself to a streaming partner where, I guess you do still need even when you watch streaming football on Thursday night on Amazon Prime, you have commercials, right? Yeah. My wife the other day was going like, what the hell? Why do we have commercials if it's streaming? This is stupid. I thought we had, I was like, yeah, honestly, I thought so too. I was kind of shocked to hear, then it dawned on me. No, you still got to pay the bills somehow, as we pointed out.
You just see the same 4 commercials over and over because
I think like, it's going to all hinge on what this deal shakes out with the PIF.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, truth gun to my head. I know we sit here talking about and speculating where we think it might go or we kind of want to see it go. Truth gun to my head, I think it's dead. I think I've said this before. 2024 may or may not even happen, but I think if it does, it's the last of LIV to let these main contracts go back. They're and there will be no re-entry penalty. That's what's about to get negotiated away. It'll just be like, how about this? We let LIV play out its course. And then these guys can, like, some of them probably still have valid exemptions, right? It's like Phil's a lifetime member for winning. So, and they might just say they can come back. They can resume operations, wherever they are exempt into. And then the other guys who maybe the Charles Howell IIIs, who maybe he doesn't have any kind of historical exemptions to hold on to. He does have to go back to Q School or the Corn Ferry Tour, or he says, I made enough. I'm going to just go play golf on Hilton Head for the rest of my life.
No, because they've made such a stink about the world golf rankings. Would you be surprised if they had made in their negotiations, and this would never happen, I know this, but I'm just now painting them as, petty, because they've acted that way at times. Could you see them as trying to somehow work in a restoration of their ranking prior to leaving golf? You know what I mean? This doesn't make sense, but if we in this negotiation, I was ranked 30th in the world before I left the PGA for LIV. I'd like to be ranked 30th in the world again. You know what I mean? Like,
I get what you're saying and that's interesting. I didn't think about that. I
don't think it'll happen because it seems far-fetched as hell.
It's far-fetched as hell. He's not going to say like, I was 5th. I want to be 5th again. But the argument they were making is we want to be qualified. We want to be we want to be able to receive whatever fucking word that is. I'm lost for it. We want to be eligible. There we go. We want to be eligible for world golf ranking points, but we want to go retroactively. And that's where another thing is like, no, we're not going backwards and saying that.
Yeah.
However, you were saying something that made me think that there could be some sort of, they can always reapply, and they made that clear in the ruling of like, as it was written. And at the time of it was July of 22. A lot has changed since then. Yeah. So if they're, if they do reapply, maybe that is part of the negotiations right now, because the same players are all interconnected here. It's all the tours, the PGA Tour is kind of the de facto leader of the tour, like the nation of tours or whatever you want to call it, this group, this network that feeds into the World Golf Ranking Body, and the RNA and the USGA works with them. All of these other tours are waiting for their lead from the PGA Tour, in my estimation. I mean, don't at me, bro. I don't work for the Sunshine Tour, but they could very well say, work with us here, find a way to figure out, mathematically, obviously, like we talk about, the guy over at Barstool Foreplay always says, the data golf, it's there. They already know how to rank these golfers. And as I always point out, there's some human elements there that you can't control for, right? Like there just is. And if it does just boil down to pull data and just crunch the numbers, then why do we even play the courses at all? Have these golfers go get rated. They play 4 rounds of golf. They get rated and tested. All that data gets put in, and then we just run a bunch of models on computer simulations to find out who's better. I mean, if that's how, I know that's an extreme example of that, but
no, but I get your point.
Trying to claim that there's already a system to do it ignores the obvious reality of the differences that make a difference in people's performance. And you can't deny that. That's like trying to take Ryder Cup and saying, the performance in the Ryder Cup, that should get world golf ranking. No, it's a different type of competition.
Yeah.
Maybe they do. But I don't believe it.
No, I don't think they do. I mean, they don't get paid, so why would they get rankings?
They don't get paid.
But I don't see, like I said, I don't see there being any path to the LIV Tour receiving ranking points unless they do go to a 4-day tournament setup like every other tour is. I just think that's going to be a sticking point and a cause for a cause for concern when it comes to the committee who makes the decisions for the rankings. I just don't think it's ever going to be that way unless they conform back to the norm a little bit.
Does LIV deserve any kind of feelings or any kind of sympathy?
They don't deserve anything right now.
No, I mean, in a sense, sometimes they have a point where, could you imagine there's certain goods that become kind of public goods, or maybe they are monopolized just by the fact that there's only a couple of key players, and there's the barrier to entry for anybody else is just so overwhelmingly high. I wonder if that was their legal angle, was this was an antitrust thing where how can this one entity really control or be in charge of all this, and the barriers to actually get into the opportunities are too high. And I don't think they had a solid, I'm not a lawyer there, but they didn't have a totally great legal argument. But when it's the pathways for opportunity that are gonna make LIV either a success or a failure. And I think what I was getting at is most startups fail, and this was a startup. And sure enough, it doesn't look like it's going to be long for anything beyond next season. So maybe it's just kind of like, hey, no harm, no foul. Is another startup that failed.
Yeah, I think that at least that's the attitude I've taken it as. And that's something we've always said, that if they just haven't viewed themselves as a startup, they viewed themselves as this tour that has a rich history and has all this credibility already. And look, I get it, because it's made up of people who have had success at a very high level. So I get where they're used to this, and so it's hard to bring yourself back to the bottom and try to build something without having some feeling of like, I shouldn't have to do this. I've been to the top. But it's just the reality of the situation. And that's always been my biggest gripe, is that they've been very much disconnected from reality. I still think they continue to be disconnected from reality. I mean, Cam Smith, I sent you a text this past week where he had comments just recently again saying that he thinks the official World Golf Rankings is basically obsolete at this point. On the contrary, it's not at all. It's so not obsolete to the point that you guys are bitching and whining and still trying to get into it. Like,
it's like dumping a girl, and then when you see her new boyfriend and her friends and they're all out, you're like, she's not really that happy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
it's all whatever. I'm over it. You're not. I mean, it does sting. Saying that those rankings are now obsolete. It was a point that I made a couple weeks ago, and I keep going back to it. It's not just the 60 guys on LIV and the 150, tour card holders, and then the other 150 Korn Ferry guys. So it's professional golf, quote unquote, has thousands of players, and there is a fairly uniform system for performance so that it is fair and that it is equitable and that there are pathways to growth in more than one arena. LIV is not like that. You either get invited or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're in, it's a limited. I mean, can you imagine if like half the guys that LIV got shanks all at the same time and just nobody can make a putt? They're all shooting 85. It's such a far-fetched thing that would actually happen once you get to that level. But the point there is like, if that happened on the PGA Tour, you get washed out real quick. Sorry, a couple missed cuts, and then you're dropping like an anchor. And people will be like, no, I've seen Justin those guys who've already won 10, 15, 20 times. They have different types of job security.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the thousands of people who are vying for one of those signature events. And the more I look into this new format that the FedEx Cup is using next year with the signature events and the swing, the swing 5 and the top 10, this and it is a little more dynamic. I could see an argument being made for, but aren't you just kind of creating your own exclusive club a la LIV? It's really only for the top 50 to 70 guys. And my answer is, but the difference is there are multiple pathways once again to get there versus waiting on an invitation from, I was about to make a geopolitical joke, but I decided not to. Instead of waiting for an invitation and a bag of money. It's again, I like what you said earlier. Savannah Bananas to the major league. Savannah Bananas is about to go on tour in some major league parks next year. They've had some very successful. They're coming to Fenway. And they're going to pack these fucking places out.
They more than pack these places out. They sell out within minutes, and they have wait lists. It just goes back to, it's all about the attitude in which you look at yourself in what you're representing. The Savannah Bananas know exactly what they are, exactly what they're trying to do, and they're not trying to be the MLB. They're not even trying to be the minor leagues. Like they're just doing their own thing. And that's the thing. Like if LIV would just grasp their identity and try to be just that, then I think things could have gone a little differently for them.
A couple of things before we welcome Nate in here. Do we have Nate already, or we got a couple minutes?
Yeah, Nate's here. He's ready to go. So final words on LIV.
Final words on LIV are, it's going to die. I was ready to move on from that. Yes, but actually, we can go ahead and bring Nate in. Yeah, Nate Hyrn from Acorn Hills, acornhillsco.com, the creator of the mission in life to look good, feel good, and do good. And nice shirt you got on there.
Yeah, how about it? I appreciate you guys having me back on. I'm pumped to be
here. We'd love to have you.
I want to get your reaction on something before we get an update on the Acorn Hills and your college season and all grand things at Mount Aloysius. I just saw this come over the interweb, so it's got to be true. Annika Sorenstam is now a member at Augusta National Golf Club.
I just saw that. I was literally just on my phone and I saw that. Yep.
Literally just happened now?
Yeah, it was and on the Instagrams there, it was posted about 4 hours ago. So how about that? Talk about evolutions in golf. I saw somebody in the comments say that she's also a member now at the hell is it? Pine Valley. So not a bad little twofer there. All right,
yeah,
Nate.
That's great.
Yeah, what's that?
No, I was just saying, Nate, how are you? How are things? Let's start from the top with the most important of all, which is, how's the golf game and how was your most recent college season?
Yeah, so I it was going like insanely well. Could not have been any better. Opened up the season, shot 73, 75, I think, in our first tournament. I was like, okay, this is light work, that here, great season. So I was averaging, I'd say somewhere around 75 to 76 throughout the next couple tournaments. And then we get to the final tournament, before our championship. And you're talking about shanks. And I'm there. I got the shanks literally mid-tournament. And I shot 85 the first day with the shanks. I was like, oh boy. I was like, well, I'll get it tomorrow. Well, the shanks were not gone. I started out and went 9, 9, 9, 12. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like I ended up shooting 98. I was like,
you're playing like me out there.
Oh, I don't wish I'd upon anybody. That was so, I had no idea. If you put a club in my hand, I had no idea where the ball was going. And then tonight, so our season's totally over now. I ended up not making the championship, like kind of like our championship team to go travel. I was a number one guy all year, and then I shoot that 98 and knocked me out. But yeah, we had our worst finish in like 5 years. So it didn't.
Thanks for bringing it up, bud.
But I had a great time. I mean, I went out tonight and shot like 1 under on my own ball, but we only played 9 holes. But it's like, wow, great ball striking, and then like that happens, and I don't know. The golf coach did not like me.
We were talking about Brooksy earlier, and he's the epitome of his whole move to LIV Golf was because he was struggling with his game. And he's like, you know, golf's that sport. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. When you don't have it, you feel like you're never going to find it. I didn't mean to open up a wound. I was really just trying to catch up.
Yeah. I mean, on the positive side, though, I don't know how with baseball and stuff you guys are, but Mike Messina's son would play for the Yankees. Or
yeah,
Mike Messina that played for the Yankees.
The Moose.
His son, plays for Penn College, and we got matched up together like twice this year. So I met Mike Messina. We were tight for a little bit.
Oh, nice.
But other than that, my game's gone to crap. But
I'll tell you this too, Nate, because people out there, you know, here, like it's so easy, especially us golfers understand that it is so easy to stand on the outside and be like, wow, 73 to 98. Well, it happens just as quick as you told the story too. I've been out there. I played a practice round at the Mass Open qualifier a couple years ago, shot 70 on a par 71 course, felt good about it. Went out a week later, had 41 putts and shot 90. And you're just like, what? It's just lost. But if you don't put yourself out there, and the buddies I play with in a golf group, we talk about this all the time. If you don't take opportunities to push yourself, you don't have to. There's nothing wrong with being a casual recreational golfer, or even somebody who it's like, all I need to know is which side of the club to hold so I can go have a good time. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you are on the side of, I want to get better somehow, whatever the competition you can find, whether it's college competition like Nate is, or it's your weekly league like I'm in, or it's, you know, just yourself like Andrew trying to push himself every year to shave a couple strokes, maybe make 1-2 putts around and keep driving. You don't put yourself out there a little bit, nothing's going to come back in return. And you have put yourself out there with Acorn Hills Co. And I just like that for the Acorn Hills Co. It's just Acorn Hills, folks, Acorn Hills Clothing Company, but acornhillsco.com. Go out, take a peek. And for the folks who maybe weren't with us the first time around, give us a little bit of a backstory. How did this start and what is it? And then let's get some updates. And we'll start with the beautiful quarter zip that you have on that is a magnificent shade of green.
It's kind of funny though. This podcast kind of, you know, I would tab this podcast as kind of my starting point, my launching pad.
Nice.
I mean,
glad to be a part of it for you.
You guys were the very first podcast to take a chance on me, and then since then, you know, like I said, like the Weather Channel happened and all those news interviews. But so for everyone that out there doesn't know me, my name's Nate, obviously. But so I had this idea of, you know, looking good and feeling good and doing good, and I thought, well, you know, how can I do that? How can I combine my two greatest passions of golf and kind of that idea? And that's kind of where Acorn Hills came from. Is I always wanted to do it pre-COVID, and, you know, COVID happened. I thought, well, I want to do this, and I kind of shuffled my feet. And I got to my first year of college here in 2021. I thought, okay, like this is the time to do it. If I'm going to fall on my face, so be it. And you know, I took that leap and I started doing that research. And for those of you that don't know, I wish I had one with me. I don't, but I actually use seed paper with my clothing tag. So a lot of clothing retailers, they'll use like a plastic hang tag. If you go into like a Dick's or TJ Maxx and you see all these brands, their price tag is like this piece of plastic. And, you know, I think it's something that's really not talked about enough when everyone's talking about conservation and climate change and things in plastic pollution. Is the clothing business is $1 trillion industry, and no one's talking about those little pieces of plastic times every brand, every range. And it's like almost like the elephant in the room, but no one's ever kind of put 2 and 2 together, I guess. And I kind of saw that from a bird's eye perspective. And I thought, well, you know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to completely eliminate all of my, you know, plastic production stuff, but at least if I can balance it. And that's what I wanted to do. And, you know, the seed paper tag, it's just something where the customer can almost, if you're like me, I never had a green thumb. The seed paper tag is where, customer buys the product and they take that tag and they put it into the ground, and, pretty soon, a couple of weeks, you have sprouts of wildflowers. Now, right now, if you're in PA, I don't know what the weather's like in Boston, but if you're in PA, they're not going to sprout outside. So I suggest putting them in a pot and bring them inside for now. But it's supposed to be, well, today was 70 degrees, believe it or not. Next week's supposed to be 24. So big PA swing.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah.
I'm in Florida right now, taking care of some family stuff. So it's like I'm outside. It's 7. I actually got like mosquitoes flying around. Did you say it's supposed to be? I'm not coming back.
Yeah, I don't recommend. It's like it was 70 today, perfect day. I looked at the weather forecast, high of 24 on Wednesday for PA. So
wonderful content for a golf contest.
Well, don't worry.
You know what?
This week here, but it's going to be in the 70s all week and weekend, so you can come back.
I do. I have my final 4-ball. I have my final 4-ball of the season on Saturday. Me and Kenny B. I'll tell you all about Kenny B next week when we're crowned champs of the 4-ball this upcoming weekend. But honestly, you said the Weather Channel earlier, and there is this kind of strange. It's not strange. It's a very organic and beautiful and natural thing. This intersection between the weather world and golf people, because naturally we like good weather to play in, and I love it how everybody. Nate, do you have any weather apps on your phone?
I have, of course, the Weather Channel and Apple Weather.
There you go. Everybody has at least the Weather Channel, Apple Weather, and then I know a guy who's got like 7 different lightning strike ones that he looks at, and it's all golf related because he wants to make sure that he can actually get out, and he doesn't want to get off the course unless he absolutely has to, which drives me absolutely bonkers. But when the weather does shift back, yes, take your tags, get them outside. It's a beautiful thing. I think it's that's one of the things that drew me to Acorn Hills. Wasn't just the dope ass hat that you started with that caught my eye, but it was that kind of seed paper mentality. And I've got 4 of them sitting in our drawer in the kitchen that's sitting there right with some of the other. I don't know why they're in the kitchen, but we have a gardening drawer in the kitchen. Don't get me started.
That's where everyone's gardening drawer is.
That's where everybody's gardening drawer is, right there in the kitchen. And they're sitting in there. And so when the weather gets nicer in the spring, we're going to go in the backyard. We got a corner of our yard that we're like, that'll be a perfect spot for them. But you said that we were, kind of the first people to give you a shot. And I mentioned this hat. You've come a long way. Talk to us now about growth since then. What's gone on? What have we seen? Where are we going?
Yeah. So, boy, so much has happened. Like before I came on here, I kind of hinted at the Weather Channel in my first episode, but for those of you that don't know, I went on the Weather Channel with Stephanie Abrams in April of, I guess it was 2023.
Yeah.
April of 2023, and did a live interview in front of the whole world, I guess. They wanted to fly me out the set. I originally thought it was a phishing email. I fished it, and it bounced back to me that it was legit. So that was good enough for me. So that's what kind of sparked that interview. But, from there, I landed a couple other news interviews kind of locally. But as far as products go, since I came on here and the Weather Channel, I started to get that traction and brand recognition and kind of brand identity too with the Acorn. And people were coming up to me in my hometown, in my home courses, calling my parents. Our house phone ran off the wall. I mean, it just rang. Apparently, my mom said, now she could be blowing it out of proportion too, but probably one call and then that was it. But as far as products go, I just kind of, like I said, I never took a dime from the business starting out, and I still don't, just enough to cover my expenses. But I just threw everything back in and just kept turning it over. And now, it started out as 2 products, 3 products, is now up to close to 20 products total if you count the ball markers and everything. And it's crazy because a lot of people, I think what they don't realize is, when I was first starting out, I think people thought maybe, okay, Nate's going to some t-shirt store down the street and saying, hey, put this logo on it called Acorn Hills. It's a Gildan cotton shirt. And, he's going out there and, hey, but no,
Hanes beefy tees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, it's for those of you out there that's listening, it's actually, I've told you guys before, I'll stay up a lot of times. I'll pull some all-nighters and stay on negotiation calls overseas and different manufacturing sites and companies that aren't on the same time zone as anywhere in the U.S. And that's what's tough, and a lot of times these products I source them from all over the place. But to answer your question about where I've come, is I've actually partnered with a local. So in all the areas and stuff, there's like one on Border that was willing to take me on. And this, coincidentally, it had to be like a minute up the road from my college. So it worked out like perfect. So I started doing custom orders for pro shops. So like these pieces and stuff, I started doing them for pro shops. After I went on the Weather Channel for the casual side, it's a funny story. My brother graduated with a kid. He moved out to Nebraska, and he got a job for REI Outdoors. I don't know if you've ever heard of REI Outdoors.
Very, very familiar. Yep.
So once I went on the Weather Channel, he called me and said, "Hey, Nate, it's Austin." He said, I graduated with your brother. He said, I loved your interview. He said, I can't guarantee you that I can get you in, but he said, would you be interested in being in the Nebraska REI? And I said, well, of course. He said, I can't give you the retailer rights of REI, like say that you're official retailer, but unofficially official, I'm in the REI Nebraska store for the casual side of things. Yeah. And then that took me up until about May of 23. And then I started doing a couple of state parks in our area as well. So I did Black Moshannon State Park, which is in PA. And, I just saw your message. That's why I stalled. But, I started doing that, and that kind of trickled into the golf aspect. So I did Nemacolin Country Club for the custom stuff. It's down in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you ever heard of Nemacolin.
Big fan of the Pittsburgh crowd here on Divots.
I think I've played that before, actually, because I spent some time in Pittsburgh. I lived there for about 9 months. I've had family there all my life, so
yeah,
I think I know where it is.
Washington, PA is where it's at.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've played there before. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you probably have. And so I did that, and then I got it was weird, so weird. So my brother went to Gannon in Erie, PA. And you got to be friends with like a lot of their golfers and things like that. And when I kind of went on the Weather Channel, I had a whole bunch of people follow me, and a couple of people were from Gannon, a couple of people were from the golf team on Gannon. He knew them, and so he introduced me to this guy named Mike. Mike has a kind of almost like a traveling men's league type ordeal.
Yep.
There's probably about 20, 25 guys. They traveled all different courses throughout the year and play like a match play event on there. It's called the 8 Ball. And because originally started out with 8 guys, now they're up to 22. But so he liked it. So he, I did some custom things for them. I actually did a whole custom hat for them. So I don't know if you happen to see on my Instagram page, there's a guy wearing a white hat, has like an 8 Ball on it. What else did I do? I did our college golf apparel. I don't even know why I forgot about that. I did our college golf apparel this year. Yeah. I should have wore the hat. It says Mounties across the top of it and Acorn Hills. And so
you all are the Mounties?
What's that?
You all are the Mounties?
We're the Mounties, yeah.
I gotta get me an Acorn Hills Mount Aloysius Mounties hat.
Yeah, I'll shoot you a pic. I did white and blue, but they're on the Instagram. If you go to Mountie Golf, they're on the Mountie Golf Instagram page. We're gonna start the Mountie Golf fan club here, and I will say this too about the gear that he produces, and he talks about these overseas. He's being very, very gracious about it, because if you get a chance to. Mm-hmm. If you order from Acorn Hills, you will get a piece of Nate with you. And I don't mean that creepy manner. I mean, you get a handwritten note, you get love. It's shipped from the home shop with help from the family there. And it's a wonderful overall customer experience. And at the end of the day, when you get it, you understand what kind of high quality material it is. You compare it to any of your other high end golf brands that's out there. You put the Acorn Hills stuff gear up next to it, and you look in the inside, and it says, "Oh, what kind of shirt is this? That Acorn Hills is?" No, oh, it's an Acorn Hills shirt, and you see that start to finish, it's a quality brand. It's built with love and dedication and hard work. And so, before we have to wrap things up here at the top of the hour, Nate, are there any other kind of parting words of wisdoms that you'd like to share? Yeah, if you're out there listening, I'd really appreciate if you followed me on the Instagram page at acorn.hills and send me a DM. It's going to be me replying. I promise you. It's not some bot or automated AI generated something. It's me on the other end. So you're going to get me if that's okay with you guys. So shoot me a DM. More than happy to chop it up with you. And, I just appreciate the support.
Always, you know that we got your back, and go Mounties, go Acorn Hills, and go Nate, man. We're really happy to see the success. We wish you more luck in the year ahead.
Hey, thank you guys.
Fantastic. Well, Nate, thanks for joining us. We're gonna quickly jump out of here, but maybe we'll keep chatting with you. We got to make room for the next show coming on, but if you want to stick around, maybe we'll chat, record something, and release it after. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. As always, though, this has been Divots and Pivots here on the Fantasy Sports Corporation every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We love y'all. Have a good night.